The evil of this world never ceases to amaze me. If it's not one thing, it's something else. And I'm laughing because otherwise I'll cry. Let me tell you something. The African Development Bank president is warning us that Africa will lose annually $25 billion if we accept the new EU carbon tax. You might ask why? Good question. He explains it further, so I'll just read for you exactly what he says. President of the African Development Bank, Akinwumi Adesina, is warning that the proposed EU carbon border tax could result in an annual loss of $25 billion for Africa, seriously impeding the continent's trade and impending industrialization progress. He says, quote, with Africa's energy deficit and reliance mainly on fossil fuels, especially diesel, the implication is that Africa will be forced to export raw commodities again into Europe, which will further cause deindustrialization of Africa. Africa could lose up to $25 billion per annum as a direct result of the EU carbon border tax adjustment mechanism. He stressed that Africa has already been disadvantaged by climate change and is now at risk of being shortchanged in global trade. Africa only contributed less than 5% of global carbon emission. As a whole continent, just imagine that. They caused all this drama, all this chaos for us. We're dealing with it even though we didn't contribute as much to it, and now on top of that they don't want us to use our natural resources. They want to tax us, which means now we have to export raw materials. Just when we thought that we're working towards refining and we're working towards demanding for what's right to get our profits from our God-given resources, now they want to tax us. Because why? Because of climate change, and they want to save the world the same way they always tell us that they're our saviors and we need to follow what they're doing. This is nonsense. I am so glad that he is calling it out and he's saying it as plainly as possible so we understand what it exactly means for us, for the people of Africa. If we agree to this tax, then that means we go back to square one. We're now back to sending resources raw. How evil could one be? Like, you've used what you needed to use, your industries blossomed, right? You are at this point, and Africa is slowly trying to get back up and try to reach that point and feed our people. Now you want to change the rules because you've already benefited and you don't even care what it would mean to those people? This is nonsense. No African leader should accept this, but of course there are many that are going to accept it and that have already accepted. What are your thoughts on this, fam? Let me know down below. Why do we keep allowing this kind of treatment? They think we're fools. They think they can just get away with it. I think they won't this time around, because there are enough people that have woken up and that know exactly how these people roll. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So let's do better. Let's educate ourselves on this new EU carbon tax and how it's going to affect us so we can talk about it and we can refuse this nonsensical tax. Like, Africa should not be even considering this, because we are at a stage right now where we're trying to develop and we're trying to feed our family members. We're not gonna entertain this from the West after they sucked us dry. Make it make sense.